Oh hey, didn't see you there. Sorry, I was just on my way to the Sanatorium through the city streets that I now know my way around. And it only took me around 7 months. Anyways, we'll just take a ride over here, and what I miss were one and the same. Raptoron here for another episode of Rational Saurographic. And today, we're on the road to the Sanatorium, a state-of-the-art facility where the Saurosapients are able to make long-distance radio contact with other post-human races. Geez, I feel like I was probably planning on having this stretch of land a bit more developed. But if memory serves correct, I kinda had to stop myself after a while to say, "You're not fucking James Cameron. Just move on and get the shots of what you already have made so far." But seeing as this facility involves long-distance radio communications, perhaps it being situated in a more sparse location such as this makes sense after all. Anyways, we'll go through the entry gates for good measure here, and good. Looks like we passed the security checks to see the Sanatorium. Oh, this was back when I would just put a single period for the dialogue text instead of actually typing any relevant text that would mostly match up with what was being said verbally on screen. Well, in any case here, let's have ourselves a little history lesson about the Saurosapients SETI program and the interactions with the post-human races they managed to connect with. It all began in the 13th year of the Saurosapients' newly established calendrical era. A team of some of the most brilliant minds in the fields of theoretical physics, biochemistry, paleontology, archaeology, and astronomy had all been working together in an effort to prove an overarching theory that had seeped its way into each of their respective academic fields. That the numerous man-beasts that dot our world all descended from a common ancestor that was, itself, technologically and intellectually more advanced than Sauro's kind currently is. But then, a mysterious alien entity came and wiped out these advanced man-creatures' civilization, reducing their intelligence down to that of a mere animal, briefly colonizing the planet before vanishing from the archaeological record altogether, leaving behind their pyramid structures, the man-beasts, and the ancestral stock that would eventually become Saurosapients. But surely, if these advanced man-creatures' technology was so advanced as we are led to believe, surely they weren't confined to this one planet alone. And surely a similar fate had befallen their fellow man-creature civilizations out there in the stars. What other creatures had risen up to form their own civilizations from the ashes of these star people's fall from grace? It was these questions that facilitated the construction of the Sanatorium. Then, in the year of 20 SE, only a few short years after the site's completion, the first contact was made. The first exo-race Sauro's kind had made contact with were strange-looking people known as the Asymmetrics, located in a star system some 32 light-years away. These alien beings were quite friendly, despite their frightening appearances. They seemed to be very peaceful, passionate, and accommodating, but a people whose history was riddled with bloodshed, abuse, neglect, and exploitation at the hands of their parent race, of whom the Asymmetrics had completely exterminated only less than a millennia ago. Truly a race with a tragic past, but a bright future. After a few transmissions of interaction, genomic sequences were shared across our two races, separated by the expanse of space through our broadcasting technologies. What our geneticists found was shocking. These asymmetrical people's DNA had distinct similarities to that of the man-beasts of our planet. In 22 SE, a second exorace's presence had become known, as a signal from a deep space probe had been picked up on by the Sagittarium's dishes while trying to make contact with the asymmetrics. The signal gave a specific frequency for which to search for, and within a few weeks, contact with the second exorace had been established. These were a people with a far more fierce look to them, despite having a far more conventional anatomy. The killer folk. Immediately, the scientists could recognize the killer folk as sharing a common ancestor with our man-beasts. In fact, for a short span of time, these killer folk were referred to as space yahoos, before proper translation systems were fully integrated. Even after such translation systems had been fully established, many a Sauros to this day still often refer to these killer folk as space yahoos, a term that the space yahoo, the killer folk seem to find amusement in. Much like our own species, the killer folk had their own tapestry of domesticated man-beasts, ranging from beasts of burden to livestock, pets, to even feral gremlins that eat trash and cause mischief in the streets. The killer folk's world seemed to also have its own array of reptiles present in its ecosystems, though many a such reptile seemed to not be from any of the same clades that Sauros kind arose from, instead being entirely of crocodilians, with two anapsids present as well. This stands in sharp contrast with our own world, where much of the reptiles present are descended from squamates, with only a couple species of crocodilians alive today and no living anapsids. An exchange of genomic sequences was made between our two races, separated by a distance of 41.3 light years, containing not only the DNA figures of each race, but also of each race's breeds of man-creature, as a number of ranchers from both worlds expressed interest in raising exotic breeds of livestock. During one transmission with the killer folk, Sauros kind was informed of an existence of another exorace that the killer folk had also been in contact with, the Satyriacs. Provided a signal frequency and directional coordinates for communication, our scientists sent out a message to the star system, some 44.8 light-years away. The response message came remarkably quick, owing to the Satyriacs possessing a more technologically advanced radio broadcast system than expected. The Satyriacs, as it turns out, were technologically ahead of Sauros kind by 2 centuries. But the difference in tech would turn out to be the least shocking thing about the Satyriacs. Once a proper communication system was established, the scientists saw what almost appeared to be a cross between saurian and man-beast. Once news of the Satyriacs' appearance reached public ears, many groups felt utterly disgusted by such a concept. Most notably religious sects and institutions under the jurisdiction of the House of the Squamata's Grail of the Sauros supremacy. These unheavenly creatures are surely the result of a grave sin, unholy matrimony of saurian and man-beast. It didn't help once more information about Satyriac culture also came to light. These are the most degenerate, immoral, indecent creatures I have ever had the displeasure to hear about yet. There's a time and a place for everything, but these sad Saturn... What were they called again? Satyriacs. Alright then. Satyriacs, they have no moral compass for either measure. Truly, they're ugly, they're disgusting, I hate them, give me $400. Contact between Saurosapients and the Satyriacs would simmer down in the following years. And for a while the skies seemed to not be showing any signs of any other exo-races. Until today. And most recently, in the year of 30 SE, Sauro's kind has made contact with yet another exo-race, one whose name and appearance may in fact betray their true origins, the Snake People. Located in this star system a mere 10 light-years away, it seems that it was the Snake People who found Sauro's kind's transmissions, as they themselves had only just begun their own SETI program. Immediately, the Snake People's appearance caught our scientists' attention. Snakes are a commonplace creature across our planet, ranging from small burrowers that act like reptilian earthworms, such as the knucker worm, to large leviathans of river systems and seaways, such as the naga, to more regal and charismatic forms, such as the hooded grootslang. Thus, our team of dedicated scientists were already well acquainted with snakes. However, a few anatomical differences made them stand apart from what Sauro's kind understood to be snakes. Small ears on the head, a grasping appendage at the end of their tail, and a smooth, scaleless skin, all gave the impressions that these were in fact not fellow sentient reptiles.
Okay, I'll pick things up from here. So, let's take a look at the Snake People here. One of the first things you might notice here is that he looks to be wearing a nice, tight-fitting cyan-colored body sock jumpsuit thing. This was done by utilizing a paint swatch from the mod of the day, Size Skincraft Regenerated. This is a paint mod, adding 132 brand new skin paints to the Creature Editor's paint mode palettes, including 12 special sleeves and leggings shared between the detail and coat categories, which can help give the impression that your creature is wearing pants, or sleeves, or both, all without the need to dress up any of them in any of the outfitters. There's also a number of really cool base paints, such as these metallic ones, or even this molten lava base paint, or whatever this is supposed to be. I've actually used a number of paint swatches from this mod in many of my Saurosapient designs, particularly these ones that make them look more scaly, but also more depth to their scaliness. If you're interested in the mod, there will be a link down to it in the description down below. Anyways, back to the Snake People. When it came to adapting the Snake People into Spore, I wanted them to still be able to move somewhat like a snake, while still also having a fully functional grasper at the end of their tail leg thingy. As you can see, he kinda slinks around about on the ground. And trust me on this, but I swear this slinking motion used to be far more pronounced than what you're seeing now. And I don't know what happened between back then and now that made him a bit more stiff, but anyways, most of his body length is actually just a very long arm.
But how is he moving at all if he doesn't have any legs?
You might be wondering right about now. Well, invisible limbs. He's got a pair of asymmetrically oriented invisible limbs right here on his lower backside off to the left. This will help make his gait a bit more wobbly, thus making his arm tail slink around more when being dragged along the ground. Now, originally I was going to go into a full-on tangent segment about invisible limbs and what they are and what they aren't, but quite frankly, it was just too long of an explanation that went nowhere, and I really don't want to waste any more time getting too distracted from what you came here to see, so let's just get back to the seditorium. Well, that was fun. Anyways, we're back here at the seditorium, and now we have a new objective for this adventure set. That being, acting as the messenger boy to the Sauros supremacy. Delivering the news of the Snake People's latest transmission, which I think we'll take a look at here before ending this episode.
Hello? Is this thing still on?
It is? Alright then.
Greetings, Saurosapients. My name is Absterios, an elected diplomatic speaker on behalf of my people's race. It seems our last transmission left you noticeably uncomfortable, and I apologize for anything that the previous speaker may have said to offend you. As for this genetic signature you've previously requested of us, we have sent the information in this transmission's attached document below.
Data corrupted. File format mismatch. Unable to read attached document.
I do hope that it will suffice. On a separate note, we have noticed that your planet's system is only 10 light years away from our own. Our nation's space program has been rapidly progressing in recent years. So much so, in fact, we believe that 10% light speed travel may be possible within the next 100 to 200 years' time. Perhaps it would be both our species' interests to establish a diplomatic system. Perhaps we could each send an ambassador to live among the other's race. I'm sure we can find the means to accommodate the Saurosapients' needs on our planet. In any case, please inform your world's leaders of our intentions of diplomatic ties and prosperity between our two peoples. Abstios Osolas, signing out. Now, which button do I press to end this doohickey?
Next time, we will deliver a message from the Snake People to the Sauros Supremacy, the governing body that rules over the masses, and explore each of the 5 houses that comprise the Supremacy, how they perceive the Snake People's message, along with each house's beliefs and alignments. So, if you're interested in seeing that, be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell icon to be notified whenever I upload a new video. So until then, take care everyone, and think habitat.